Hello everyone, and welcome to the launch of Incentral 10. We're really excited about this webinar. This has kind of been the culmination of 2 years of work. Joining me today is Frank Coletti, Vice President of Sales.
Hi, Ali.
And Brian Zimmerman, Product Manager with Enable Technologies.
Hi, Ali.
Today's webinar is going to talk about the state of the managed services industry. Then we're going to dovetail into the problem with IT support today. And then we want to close on what is Incentral 10 and give you a demo of some of these great features. So I'm going to hand things over to Frank to talk about the state of the managed services industry.
Thank you very much, Ali. The managed services industry has been one of the most influential market trends that have affected service providers over the past 10 years. It's really affected their profitability, their business valuations, and more importantly, their ability to compete in today's marketplace. It's brought with it many opportunities, many threats, and many frustrations. And I think one of the biggest reasons for this is because today, globally, every service provider claims to be an MSP. And that's really diluted the value proposition and the message to the SMB customer. Coupled with the fact that new disruptive technologies are constantly changing the way service delivery is delivered to the SMB, it's constantly affected the way that MSPs have to deliver services to their clients. So the biggest challenges that MSPs face is uncovering new ways to lower their overall service delivery costs and at the same time constantly increasing their service value to their clients. At Enable Technologies, our mission statement is quite simple. It's to help our customers become the most successful MSPs in the world. And we've done that really in a twofold process. We've delivered the leading remote monitoring and automation platform in the industry that really has two key functions. One, to help MSPs proactively manage the knock side of their business, and two, the ability for them to respond to incidences and lower their service delivery costs by managing the help desk. And what we're going to demonstrate today and walk you through is how Incentral really helps MSPs go to market in an effective way to drive new business while at the same time driving their service delivery to their clients. The second thing that we've done is that we've built a complete business program that help our clients go to market. Enable is a market leader in understanding the trends in the marketplace that have affected the way service delivery is sold to SMBs, and we built that in a way for our customers to go to market. So when we look at some of the problems or trends that have affected service providers, the cloud and mobile have really affected the way service delivery have gone to market. We see that in every single geography around the world. And the switch has gone from managing the infrastructure or the on-premise devices to actually managing the end user experience. And the reason for this is because when we look today at the way that we interact with technology, we're constantly wanting instant access to our data, to our information. And the challenge that MSPs face is making sure that they can deliver that to their customers in a fast, efficient way and ensuring that their experience with using the applications and the technologies are actually instantly accessible to them. And we see this globally across many different geographies. We have our core set of geographies and marketplaces, while at the same time we have our emerging markets. And each of them have converged together, and each of them are faced with different challenges that Incentral 10.0 allows them to take advantage of and drive more efficiency and service delivery to their clients.
Great, thanks, Frank. It really is an exciting time. You know, there's so much new technology out there, and we hear a lot of buzzwords out there. You know, people talk about big data, they talk about the cloud,
right.
Microsoft's ending support for Server 2003. So it really is a challenging time in some ways. You know, it's a bit of a paradigm shift from just managing the backbone of a small, medium business to now managing all of their devices and all their remote workers.
That's right.
So maybe to take things down a different path, we want to talk a little bit about the evolution of Incentral RMM. And the reason we want to do that is just to frame why we decided to focus on some particular features with Incentral 10. So when we take a look at the history of Incentral, you know, and I'm talking more than 10 years ago, it started with purely monitoring. So really what IT service providers were looking for at that time was, I just want to know what's going on. Maybe I want some basic alerts. backup, AV, things like that, they weren't really being consumed by the average user at home or the average SMB. Around version 7 and version 8 of N-central, that's when we saw the SMB market start to consume a lot of AV and backup, so we integrated both AV and backup into N-central. That's what the partners were asking for at the time. You know, all of our customers needed that one-stop shop to deliver all of the software and service needs that their customers had. Around version 9, that was another huge milestone for us. We brought in both drag and drop automation and reporting. The reason we focused on automation is, you know, just like Frank was saying, driving costs down has always been critical for service providers, and drag and drop automation allowed our partners to create simple scripts without any programming background. You know, I could create a weekly maintenance script for a workstation, create a monthly maintenance script for a server, and I'm not a programmer. I don't need to know VB, C++, anything. I'm just dragging and dropping IT tasks. So automation was huge at driving those service costs down. The reason reporting was huge is that a lot of partners, a lot of MSPs in the market were talking about, you know, managing the work that they do for their customers with spreadsheets. They were emailing their customers, you know, here's a summary of the work that I've done for you. And that was a challenge to show customers what an MSP was doing. So business reports that were customer facing was a huge need in the market we saw, and we brought that in within Central 9, and the response was huge. You know, the ability to send an executive summary report to a customer that says, here's the state of your network, here's everything I've done for you in the past month. That was a really good chance to have a sit-down conversation with your customer that was a lot better than the email or the simple checklists that people were providing before. Then around N-central 9.4, we introduced help desk ticketing. So from SolarWinds, we were able to integrate Web Help Desk, which is their award-winning help desk ticketing platform. We were really excited about that. There were a lot of MSPs and IT service providers that were managing their tickets, you know, just by incoming emails. Or they were using spreadsheets and they were tracking everything manually. So to be able to have a ticket management solution that allowed you to prioritize your tickets, escalate tickets to the right technicians, just really make sure that issues were getting resolved, that was a huge need we saw at the time, and we were happy to bring that in. Today, what we're talking about is help desk support. So, and Central 10 is really the next generation of remote monitoring and management, and we've focused on help desk support. And the reason that we've focused on help desk support is really because we saw that big problem with IT support in the market today. Just to do a simple support task, we were seeing partners use 4 or more tools. So when you think about it, a problem happens, I open my ticket management solution, so that's tool number 1. I start the ticket, now I have to open my RMM to go look up the device details, I gotta look up that customer's information. I see that there is a problem with the device. Now I have to open a remote control session, so that's tool number 3. But I can't just connect to that device because I need to get the credentials. So many MSPs and IT service providers have a password management tool that they use to log into the correct device with the correct credentials. So that's 4 tools that I'm using to do one simple support task. And these could be any support task. It could be a 5-minute fix on some device, but I've had to go through 4 separate applications. What MSPs really need is kind of an all-in-one solution. So from problem to solution, I've opened my RMM and I've been able to create a ticket, diagnose, fix, update the ticket, and really not even worry about credentials at any time during that session. And that's really the problem we saw, and that's what we wanted to focus on, and that's what we're talking about today within Central 10. The second major problem that we saw with IT support today is MSPs who are using remote control for 100% of their support activities. So the problem with using remote control all of the time is that some tasks are very small. Some tasks should be able to be solved remotely. And the problem with remote control is it interrupts the end user. So a problem happens, you know, the end user can't print. They call you, you open a ticket, you log into their device, and you have to kick them off of their device. So you've completely interrupted their workday. And now you start troubleshooting on their end device, and then you fix the issue. So that entire time that you've logged on, troubleshooted, and fixed the issue, that user can't use their machine. And that's a big problem for some users. The better way to do things, and that's what we want to talk about today, is at least half of the time I should be able to solve some of these simple issues like restarting a process, adding a printer, things like that. I should be able to do that without interrupting my end user. So when someone calls me and says I can't print, my computer's running slow, I should be able remotely to go in, fix a bunch of issues, and tell them, keep working, I'll fix this in the background, and then when I'm done, I just call them and say, problem solved. That to us sounds like a much better support paradigm. And just to kind of close on the problem with IT support today, we saw a lot of manual processes. So we saw manual ticket creation, manually adding notes to tickets at the end of a support session, and then just depending on remote control for not just fixing issues, but also troubleshooting. So logging on and spending 15, 30 minutes to troubleshoot a problem, then fixing the issue after that. All of these manual processes add up. And when you're running a support desk, you want to be as profitable and as fast as possible. Priority number one is giving my customer a good experience. I want them to be up and running as soon as possible. Priority number two is I need to do that quickly because I want to be able to support lots of customers and not have tickets build up. So if I can deliver, fast support, I can close more tickets and my customers are going to be happier. And that's really at the end of the day, our hope for all partners of Enable is that you reach what IT Easy was able to do, and they're able to close 90% of their support tickets in 8 minutes. So that's a huge number. And that's really exciting for us. I mean, that's why we get out of bed in the morning, is we want to help our partners reach some of these targets. So to take us into N-central 10 and some of the great, exciting features there, I'm going to hand things over to Brian Zimmerman, Product Manager at Enable Technologies.
Thanks, Ali, and thanks for so eloquently describing the problems that face MSPs today. So with N-central 10, we've, as Frank mentioned, delivered a industry-leading remote monitoring, management, and automation platform, but added to that the ability to perform reactive help desk services as well as that. So N-central 10 provides a complete proactive automation platform as well as reactive help desk support tool. We're very excited about this. We've been working on this for the better part of 2 years at this point, and we're very excited about these features, and I'm sure you guys will too. So to start it off, as we mentioned, monitoring is the hallmark of any RMM solution. With N-central 10, we have over 500 monitoring services that allow you to monitor everything from connectivity to ESX to Windows failover clustering. That itself is new in 10.0. So a lot of these services are new, and a lot of them are building on the success that we've had in the past. So with these services, you're able to trigger proactive notifications, as well as ensure that you're meeting your SLAs with your clients. So we're very excited about the breadth of monitoring that we're able to offer in 10.0.
And Brian, I think that's really critical. You said monitoring is the hallmark, and that's because if I can't actually see what's going on with the device, it's very hard to support it, right? So just having those 500 monitoring services, being able to monitor cross-platform, Windows, OS X, Linux, et cetera, it's just critical.
Absolutely. The first thing that you need to do as a MSP is understand what's wrong in the environment, is understand what you need to do and what you need to fix. The features in 10.0, in addition to enhancing that ability, now give you the ability to fix those problems. But first and foremost, we need a solid bed of industry-leading monitoring to get you to the right place. So the next thing we want to describe is our improvements in agent bandwidth consumption. With all the monitoring that's going on and all of the management of the devices, this does have an impact in terms of data flowing back and forth between the device. With a lot of the work that we've done in 10.0, we've decreased agent bandwidth usage by over 50%. So this means that we're not using bandwidth when you don't need it, and that leaves room to use additional bandwidth in order to perform more advanced functions when you do need it. So we're using the bandwidth and we're using the end PC resources in the right way at the right time. So now moving on to some of the very exciting features of 10.0. First of all is our device dashboard. So what this is an overview that allows you to quickly understand and triage everything that's happening on the device. It's good to have all the information in terms of the monitoring checks and what's going on in your environment, but having it all in one place in an at-a-glance dashboard-style view gives your technicians the ability to quickly look at all sources of information, correlate that visually, and get a sense of what is the real problem and what do I need to dig into. This is groundbreaking and it's fantastic, and it definitely helps you get to the root of the problem quicker and easier. So just to hit that home, here's a quote from one of our partners that it's much quicker and easier to get to the root of the issue and resolve them, all without interrupting the customers. So this speaks to what we're really trying to do here and save your technicians time, which saves you money and allows you to grow more scalably.
And Brian, maybe for the people in the audience that aren't familiar with how we develop products, maybe just walk them through some of the research, the beta process, and talking to actual MSPs during development.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that dashboard that we spoke about, we did over 100 hours of UX research. So this is talking to customers, understanding how they perceive information, how they want information to be organized and displayed, what's most understandable to them, and present that in a cohesive view that will allow them to see the problems and have the right information come to the surface visually right away. In addition, we've designed our device tabs and redesigned our setting organization, as well as our UI in a whole, to make sure that it's the most usable, the most user-friendly RMM in the market. So we spent a lot of time on this, and this is a core competency that SolarWinds has had for years. And in this release, we've really applied this to enable in our exciting new dashboards, our exciting new user interface, and the overview tab on the device dashboard. Okay, so moving on to my favorite feature of 10.0, and this is really the hallmark of what we've done here, is direct support. So before we get into what this is, I want to talk about why we did it. As Ali mentioned, the key thing in this release is to bring you help desk services, to bring you the ability to provide help desk services to the end device. And in order to understand how to do that properly, we looked at your technician's workflow. So we researched, how does a technician resolve an issue? They get a ticket, they research, they triage the issue, they resolve the issue, and then they report that to their PSA solution or other ticketing solution. So we looked at that and figured out where we could insert ourselves into that workflow in order to provide the best possible integration from the Incentral side, so you never have to leave your RMM tool in order to fix a problem and report that resolution. So with direct support, we give you the ability to resolve those problems. You can restart services, stop processes, edit registry entries, copy files, run command prompt executables. So there's a lot you can do. The power is virtually endless. If you have technicians that are well versed in command line or PowerShell, that's all built into this tool, as well as our industry-leading drag and drop automation manager allows you to execute policies right on the device within your troubleshooting workflow. Beyond this, what we heard was the most common ticket presented to the help desk is password resets. So to resolve this, we created a domain user management tool that allows you to reset passwords and unlock accounts, all from within Incentral. You can do this in seconds, when what used to happen is often RDPing into the device to make the change on the Active Directory server. So within Incentral single pane of glass, we give you the ability to make that change to the user's password or the user's account right away. So putting that all together, 50% of the issues that we face today could be resolved with direct support. So think about how that could impact your business. If 50% of your tickets could be resolved without even having to connect to the machine or leave your RMM tool, that adds extra time, extra money in your pocket, and scalable growth to your IT services. And that's really what we're trying to achieve here with Incentral 10.0.
And Brian, I have to imagine that, if we're saving that much time on 50% of the tickets and customers are getting a better experience, that would open new opportunities to do help desk support for workstations or other devices where in the past, my help desk was too busy or it wasn't a profitable venture to go after supporting a particular type of device.
Absolutely. One of the key advantages of Incentral is keep your technicians focused on what they need to be working on and automate and make easy the regular tasks that take your technicians time, so they can worry on the one-off tasks, the project revenue, the activities that bring money into your organization and satisfaction to your customers. And we're going to make easy their regular day-to-day help desk tickets, as well as automate their regular service delivery.
And Brian, I think you bring up a good point. Technicians today want instant gratification. They really want to help their customers. They really want to solve issues quickly and efficiently. And what you've just described really gives them at their fingertip the ability to resolve those problems and move on to the next customer and allow them to provide a much higher level of service to their clients regardless of where they're located.
Absolutely. So one of the huge advantages here is the ability to do all of this remotely. You don't need to connect to the machine. You don't need to be on site. you don't even need to be there to resolve problems with our behind-the-scenes automation. So we give you all the tools necessary to resolve the issues that come in and automate the issues that you know about before they happen. Now, fixing the problem is one thing, but showing the work is another. We give the ability with our integrated audit trail to show what's been done by every technician within the system and append that to tickets within your integrated PSA solution or create tickets within your PSA solution. For those who don't have a PSA solution, we do have Help Desk Manager, which Ali mentioned, that allows you to provide a ticketing solution to your customers. So this audit trail gives you tracking of what's happened as well as the ability to show that work to the end customers through the integrated PSA and ticketing solutions. Now, expanding on that, 10.0 gives our deepest PSA ticket integration yet. So not only are we able to update help desk support actions through direct support through the audit trail, we now have the ability to integrate billing profiles and an end-to-end workflow-based PSA integration. So our PSA integration is industry-leading and fantastic, and definitely integrates with your technician workflow from end to end.
Great. Brian, maybe just to bring all that home, we've created this workflow, and what we really wanted to understand is when we compare the traditional support workflow to N-central support, what does that look like? So with traditional support, today, a problem happens, so you go into your PSA, you open a support ticket, then you go to your RMM. So again, then I've used two different tools. So I go to my RMM, I find that device, maybe I do a little bit of troubleshooting, but typically, and what we hear from a lot of our partners and a lot of MSPs, is they're using remote control pretty much immediately. So that's tool number 3 again. So I launch a remote control session, I troubleshoot the problem while I'm on the device, I fix that issue, and then I disconnect. It sounds great, and that's the way everyone's been doing it for so long. The problem we have with that, and a lot of our partners had, is that you're kicking the user off the machine for that entire support session. And stuff happens. I mean, you're in the middle of a support session and another problem pops up. Another technician comes, asks you a question. During that entire time you're having a discussion, you're dealing with other issues, you're still remotely connected to an end user device and they can't access their machine. After I'm done supporting this way, I would go back to the PSA, open that ticket, I would manually type in the notes, from memory, and close that ticket. And a big problem there is a lot of technicians that we've talked to often feel guilty that something took long to fix. And what they'll do is they'll underbill that customer. Yeah, it took me 45 minutes, but really it should have only taken me 30, so I'm only going to put 30 in. We don't view it that way. I mean, your time is valuable, you're talented support people, and your time is billable. So what we want to do is we want to have accurate billing on every support session, and that's going to benefit your business, and then let's leave it up to other people, the business owner of the MSP, to make that call. When we compare the traditional support paradigm to N-central 10 support, everything happens in the RMM, and that's really important because today you're using 3 tools or more with a password manager. With N-central 10, you're just using your RMM, and that's going to save you a lot of time. You're going to be able to close more tickets. So let's take a look at what that would look like. With N-central, I go into N-central, so I open the RMM. I find that device. We have that great dashboard that Brian talked about. And right from the dashboard, I can see all the problems going wrong. I can see the CPU usage, I see the patches, I see all the status and the information on that device. And I do all my troubleshooting there, and I can open a ticket right from that dashboard. So again, I haven't left my RMM to create that support ticket. I can actually use direct support, like Brian was talking, to real-time connect to a device and do real-time actions to support, to add printers, manage services, and we're going to have a great demo of that in just a minute. But the key takeaway from all of that is that I haven't interrupted the user at any point during the support session. And the feedback we've gotten on N-central 10, which Brian was reading, is that at least 50% of the time, you should be able to resolve things through direct support and not require a remote control session. Once I fix the issue, now I actually just open up that audit trail, I check the steps that I want to put in the ticket, and I push them to the ticket and update that. So we just felt that, through all the user research and testing that we've done, this was what floated to the top as the best way to support customers. It was the feedback we received from real MSPs. We've tested this with our partners and with people that are new to RMM, and the feedback's unanimous that this really feels like the way that support should be. So, we're just really excited about this release. I really think it is one of the biggest releases that N-able has ever done. And maybe Brian, just you can give a little bit more detail than I can on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have over 100 new features in this release, including what we've talked about so far, the device overview page, the help desk services, as well as other features such as more granular notification control, notification workflow, advanced reboot dialogues, new ways to filter and find information, customizable HTML notifications. This release really touches every aspect of the product to give you a superior user experience, superior ability to resolve customer issues and service your clients. So we're extremely excited about this, and I'm sure you will be too. So just to hit this point home, here's a quote from one of our customers that often we can solve tickets in 15 to 20 seconds that previously would have taken 3 to 5 minutes. If this doesn't say it all, then I don't know what will. It's definitely going to help you do things quicker and grow more scalably. So without further ado, let's give you a look at N-central 10.0. Okay, so first what you're seeing here is the N-central login screen. And this is really, for those familiar with the 9.5 version of N-central, this is your first glimpse of the new branding. We've updated N-central to be more modern, more in line with the Metro interface trends that Windows 8 started within the marketplace. We've spent literally hundreds of hours of user experience research in order to make sure that we had the most usable interface within the RMM space today. What we're seeing here is the all devices view. For those not familiar with N-central, let's give you a brief treatment of what we do from a high level. First and foremost, we're a remote monitoring and management and automation platform. In N-central 10.0, as we mentioned earlier, we're adding the ability to do help desk services and effect changes on a device in order to update and resolve tickets. But in order to understand that in context, we need to understand N-central's monitoring capability. So as a monitoring solution, the most important thing that we can do is make sure that the important information is brought to the forefront so your technicians know what to focus on and in what order to resolve problems. What you can see here is our active issues view. This gives you a glance of every device within your system. Here you can see a filter that allows you to choose from common system elements and show, for instance, all Exchange servers, all essential devices, or all servers. This way I'm able to look at a glance at a particular slice of my environment so that I can look for the problems that may pertain to me. For example, I may be a technician that only works on Exchange servers, so I'm going to look at the Exchange server filter, and that's going to be my main view. In addition to the all devices view, you can also use dashboarding technology to accomplish the same thing. Dashboards provide you an at-a-glance view not only of the systems themselves, but of individual monitoring checks. For instance, agent status, application compliance, backup exec, backup manager events. So in this instance, you can look at a glance of the things that are important for servers in my organization. You can also filter on individual statuses for individual services and take actions right from this view. The most notable of which is the ability to remote control very quickly from this environment. We offer many different types of remote control, including web page remote control to a router or switch, SSH remote control to a router or a Linux or Mac device, as well as a proprietary remote control technology called Direct Connect, based off ASG's and Support Pro technology. So let's show a few examples of remote control within my environment here. As you can see, this is an example of what it looks like when there is someone connected to a machine. You can see the icon is red, and it tells me what kind of remote control connection is in use. Now I can add additional remote control connections. For instance, I'm going to add a Direct Connect connection to that session, and we are going to quickly create the session and automatically log into that machine's console so that you can provide remote support extremely easily. This is all integrated into N-central's single pane of glass console.
And I think the great thing there, Brian, is that at no point did I have to, look up that username and password for that device. It's integrated right in, so I see a device that's in trouble and I just connect to it directly.
Absolutely. And as you can see, in the time it took for you to ask that question, I'm connected to the device and I can quickly make changes to this device directly. So One of the things we really talked about in the earlier slide presentation was the ability to resolve problems without remote controlling. But I want to make sure that everybody understands that remote control is still a key part of our offering and something we're very good at. In addition to doing remote desktop and direct connect, we also allow you through our probe to connect to appliances, routers, switches, other hardware through HTTP, SSH, or custom remote control technology where you can ping out to any port in case they have some kind of custom remote technology that you want to integrate with. So we're extremely flexible and extremely powerful in that sense.
And Brian, I know some technicians ask, what about firewalls and things like that? How do I get around those and connect easily?
So everything within Central is all outbound. The way the architecture works is you start by deploying a probe on the server within an environment. That probe will automatically perform a network discovery and push agents to all the affected devices. Devices that aren't eligible for an agent can be imported and monitored from the probe itself. After the probe and agents are installed, they communicate outbound to the Incentral server, and any communication from the Incentral server to the devices is done as a response to that persistent connection initiated from the agent. So the only thing required is outbound communication to your Incentral server, which can be on-premise or in our hosted data center. So firewalls are not a problem. Opening ports is not a problem. Exposing your network to risk is not a problem. We make sure that you can maintain security while being able to manage your environments. Next, what I'd like to do is talk about notifications and monitoring. So let's go into an example device. In this device, we can see in the monitoring status tab the number of monitoring checks that are being done on that individual device. A service or a monitoring check can be thought of as a piece of data that I find important to look for. In this example, I'm looking at CPU, disk I/O, SQL, the SQL port being open, system uptime, some event log services, and monitor to ensure some Windows services are up and running. If any of these fail, the service will go into a failed status, which will trigger a notification either through email, in my active issues view, or in my integrated PSA ticketing solution. So first and foremost, we're able to provide data for you to troubleshoot issues, reporting data to ensure you're meeting your SLAs, and a way to proactively inform your technicians of issues as they occur. Now let's have a brief view of the active issues view. This is especially exciting for customers who either have a service board for their technicians where you can log what is happening within an environment, or for customers that don't have an integrated ticketing solution. Having a network operations center view that gives you the status of everything failed within an environment that you can filter based on the service, the status, or other aspects of the individual monitoring check is key to make sure that you're prioritizing the issues properly and resolving everything that needs resolution within your environment. Now, regarding PSA integration, this is something that we're very proud of in this release. We've integrated the PSA into your workflow completely, from being able to look at tickets historically, to being able to update tickets, to being able to close tickets, to being able to bill based on Incentral information. You can now, using billing profiles, send results from individual filters to your PSA ticketing solution for the use of billing. For instance, I can send data for how many AV Defender devices are enabled on this customer, or how many of my backup software do I have deployed on this customer. Any Incentral filter that you can create within the system can be mapped to a billing profile so that you can correctly bill your customers in an automated fashion. Speaking to our MSPs, this is an activity that is often done manually today and often done after the fact, whereas with Incentral and the billing profiles, you can proactively add that information automatically without the need for manual intervention. Now we're going to look at some of the new exciting features within Incentral 10.0. To do this, I'm going to log into a device. Now, for people who've seen our 9.5 console, one of the exciting new things that we allow is the ability to open a multiple tab. So here I can actually open a link, or I can open a link in a new tab, allowing me to do multiple things at once, monitor things that are happening on a device that I may have already resolved an issue for, or just use the multiple monitors that I have. I know myself, I have 3 monitors on my desk. The ability to do three things at once is something that I require, and Incentral now supports that extremely easily. After opening a device, the first thing we see is the Overview tab. This gives us an at-a-glance view of everything that's happening on this device, from key asset data information, to CPU and memory trends, to detailed process and memory graphs, to detailed running process and Windows service information, patch summaries, backup protection summaries, as well as, and most notably, historical ticket information. So let's take an example of a help desk call where a customer calls me saying their printer is not working. First thing I'm going to do is log into the device that is affected based on the user that entered that call. And I'm going to look at the historical tickets. I'm going to see if there is a ticket log previously that may actually relate to this problem so that I can follow those same resolution steps in order to resolve the problem again. In this case, I do not see anything that may point to that. Next, I turn my attention to the active issues view. This is going to show you every monitoring check that is not in a normal state so that I can quickly see, do I have a monitoring check set up that would indicate the root cause of this problem without me doing any additional work? If the problem was related to system performance or resource utilization, there's a number of other widgets that will be helpful in terms of understanding trending and understanding the current state of the system.
Yeah, Brian, when we designed the device overview page, it really is kind of troubleshooting central. I mean, the goal was to provide all information on a single page, and that was the result of some of the user research that we did with MSPs.
Absolutely. The other way of doing this would be to present this same information in multiple screens where you'd have to sift through different data sources and correlate the information yourself. What we heard when speaking to our customers and our customers' technicians is that having the information all in one place, in one single pane of glass, single at-a-glance dashboard is paramount in terms of bringing the important issues right up to the top. So what you can see here is the culmination of that research and really the best device dashboard that we could possibly dream up. So now that we've triaged the problem using the Overview tab, it's time to start resolving the issue. To do this, we're going to go into the Tools tab. The Tools tab is where direct support lives. Direct support is the set of tools that we've created to allow you to resolve help desk tickets. So under the Tools tab, we can see a number of things, including services, printers, registry, startup items, etc. For this example, I'm going to first look in the Services tab. Remember, we're troubleshooting printers. Here in the Services, I can see all the services on the system, their status. I can right-click and take action on these services, such as Start, set the startup type, set the logon type, monitor within Central, and also view dependent services if they exist. As you can see, the print spooler service here is in a stop state. So to resolve this, I'm going to simply right-click and start that service. You can see instantly the fact that the action was in progress and then completed was automatically and synchronously presented to you as a user. There's no guessing whether or not the action that I submitted worked. The start was successful. It flashed green indicating that it was complete. If it was in progress, it showed in progress. If it failed, it would tell you it failed and tell you why it failed. So we're really giving you real-time control and synchronous control and feedback on the actions that you're taking within the direct support toolset. And that's something we're very excited about.
And Brian, before issuing that command, how up-to-date is this information that we're seeing on screen?
It's real time. Back in the Overview tab, this information is polling regularly. When I click on Tools, Services, this data refreshes every 14 seconds. You can also refresh it on demand by clicking the Refresh Now button. So it's at max 14 seconds old, and will refresh whenever I ask it to and whenever I take an action.
Great.
Okay, so moving on, if this did not resolve the issue, the next thing that I'm going to do is go to the Printers tab, select the user who initiated the call, and then see what's going on with their printer setup. And in this example, the first thing that I see is that Send to OneNote is set as the default printer. So the next action I'm going to take is select the appropriate printer and set as default. And then finally, I'll right-click this printer and print a test page. And then I would call the user and ask them, did the test page print? Or send them a note in the ticket. And if it did, their issue is resolved and I can close the ticket. So what I've done here is from end to end, taking you through the overview and the assessment and triage of the issue, resolution of the issue, and then finally is recording of those resolution steps. So everything that I did here is recorded in our audit log. If we look here at the audit trail, we can see an item by item account of everything that I did. So I don't have to take note of the actions that I'm taking very religiously because it's all here. And from this, I can select the actions that were done that contributed to resolving the issue. So in this case, I printed a test page, I set the default printer, I started the service, and I enable monitoring in Central. And from this, I'm going to update the ticket that was logged for this issue or create a new ticket. As well as updating it, I'm able to add time to the ticket and change the status of that ticket during the update. So now we've taken you from triage to resolution, to recording those steps, and to communicating to the customer through updating the PSA ticket. And that's really an end-to-end troubleshooting workflow, all without leaving Central's single pane of glass RMM console.
And Brian, one of the things I like best about all this is I think that, in the first, 6 months of MSPs using N-Central 10, we're going to have a lot of surprised customers. You're going to be behind the scenes fixing everything. It's going to seem like magic to the end user. At no point did you need to dial in, take over their machine. They call you, and 2 minutes later, you're calling them back saying, it's fixed. I just think that's going to be a great experience and wow a lot of customers.
Absolutely. I mean, resolving an issue is important. It's important that your customers see you as experts and that you can connect to their machine and quickly move around the interface and resolve the issue. But being able to do something behind the scenes without them even realizing how you did it, that's magic. And that's a different level of service and ability to delight those customers. And as we mentioned earlier, the most important aspect of behind the scenes resolution of issues is you didn't interrupt them. And that has two aspects to it. One is, if I'm having to make registry changes or make some customizations in control panel to resolve an issue, I may not want customers to understand Registry Editor. It's a dangerous place. I don't want them in there. So being able to do those things behind the scenes means that I don't have to show them these dangerous areas of Windows, and I can do it without their knowledge and without interrupting their workflow. So direct support does more than just printer troubleshooting. This was an end-to-end example to give you an idea of how this fits into your workflow. But now I want to go through each of these tools exhaustively to really highlight some of the most powerful aspects of this tool set. We talked about services already, but next is processes. Similar to services, this gives you a list of every process that's running on the device. But in addition, you can look at the memory usage, the physical, virtual, the CPU usage, the disk I/O, the priority, the startup type, lots of different information that will help you troubleshoot performance problems or other issues on the device. As well, you can actually look at registry keys being accessed, threads that exist, DLLs being used by the process. This will help greatly when troubleshooting things like malware or other application conflict issues. Moving on to some of the more powerful tools is Registry Editor. So this is basically a mirror of the regedit within the end device. And it's made to be just as usable and very familiar to those technicians who are used to using regedit. I can simply, on the left-hand pane, browse for appropriate keys. Okay, I can edit keys. I can add new values. I can do anything that I could do within regedit. And this power allows you to, as I mentioned earlier, resolve problems without interrupting the user and without informing them of this dangerous thing called regedit. Moving on to applications and startup applications. This gives you a complete list of the applications on the device. And for those that support silent uninstall, you can actually initiate an uninstall task right from this console. As well, if you have third-party patch enabled and there is a third-party patch available, you can simply install a patch now as well with a click of a button. Startup applications have a similar use, but they also allow you to troubleshoot specific problems related to slow system startup. Not only do I see a list of every startup application there is, have the ability to turn them on or off, but I also get to see the disk I/O at startup, the CPU at startup. So if I'm having a disk thrashing issue during system startup, then in this case, it might be related to Greenshot that uses 5.06 megabytes at startup and 316 milliseconds of CPU time at startup. It's very, very high. And if I was troubleshooting a issue with system startup, that would be my first culprit. And I could see that extremely easily without interrupting the user, without having to remote control on the device. Next, I want to show you the file system. So this is a fully featured file system client that allows you to copy files, paste files, send files, retrieve files, rename files. Most of what I could do with any remote file system client, I can do within this integrated console. Next, I want to show you the automation policy. So for those familiar with N-Central's Automation Manager, we have a fantastic drag and drop scripting engine that, as Ali mentioned earlier, does not require you to have any scripting expertise. You can simply drag and drop the order of operations to resolve a problem and load those Automation Manager policies into N-Central for execution on a scheduled basis. With direct support, we also give you the ability to execute these now in this Automation Policies tab. I can very quickly select an item such as clear the DNS cache and run this item. It's instantly ran, instantly changes to a status of processing, and when complete, the result will be visible within this pane as well as recorded within the audit log, like all the other direct support actions.
And one of the great things about using those automation scripts, Brian, is that once you've created a handful of those scripts for all the common issues, you just go right in there and you execute that policy, and it just auto runs, does all the work, and you're done in 5 seconds after initiating that policy. A lot faster than manually doing those recurring support tasks that everybody has.
Absolutely. So to put that another way, what we've done in direct support is really tried to service the novice and the power users. For the novice users, we give you the ability to perform the actions you're most likely to need to do, such as restart services, troubleshoot processes, startup items, etc. For the power users, we give you tools to be able to scalably and quickly resolve more complex issues, such as command prompt, which we'll show in a second, file system, and registry editor. Now, there's a middle ground as well. What we recommend that you do is have your power users write automation policies so your novice users can expand the scope of what they can do on a regular basis. We've tried to make sure that we have the tools out of the box that resolve the top 10 ticket types. But if the 11th ticket type requires a standard automation policy that you could write easily and is unique to your environment, add that to your system, and your novice users can simply run these at their own request very, very easily. And as you can see, the result shows up right here. So this gives you the ability to expand what those novice technicians can do, and also saves your senior technicians time. They don't have to consistently set scheduled tasks and consistently run command line operations to fix issues that they've already scripted previously with our drag and drop scripting engine. So my personal favorite tool, and I would say the crown jewel for the power user, is the command prompt. So this is a fully integrated, real-time, two-way command prompt. So as you can see here, I simply started a session. I can execute commands. I can use tab complete. I can use the up arrows to look at previous operations. So this functions exactly like a command prompt would on the actual device. And for those power users out there, I can even execute PowerShell. And within that PowerShell interface, I can load snap-ins, instantiate objects, act on those objects, etc. So it's a really fully featured command prompt interface.
And Brian, that really is the catch-all for every other type of support task you would need to do. So if you don't see anything in those 9 tabs that we have available, having a command prompt and being able to execute PowerShell, that's going to cover pretty much everything else.
Excellent. And as you can see here, I can also load the history from our session and record that as needed. There's one issue in particular that we heard is the most common help desk ticket, and that's password resets. So in addition to the device tool set, we've added another tool called Domain User Management. This tool allows you to select discovered domains and organizational units within your system, retrieve the user list within that system, and act on those user lists. For instance, I can reset the password, unlock the account, and resolve issues extremely quickly. So what previously might have taken minutes and required me to remote control to the domain controller, I just did in a few seconds. And all these actions are logged within the audit trail as well. And that's really the nuts and bolts of it. We've shown you how to use direct support to resolve issues on the device. We've shown you how the device overview tab helps to revolutionize the display of information and help to simplify triaging issues. We've shown you our user experience elements that have been revamped in N-central 10, including the dashboards, active issues view, and the filtering ability within them. We've also shown a brief foray into N-central's core value proposition as an industry-leading remote monitoring, management, and automation platform. But this is really just scratching the surface. If you want to learn more, you can visit us at n-able.com. We have a number of videos and product information that'll help to really show you what N-central can do for your business. Ali?
Thanks for that great demo, Brian. You can see how great some of those features are in N-central 10. I'm particularly excited about direct support, that real-time support without interrupting the end user. You hear us say that a lot, and it's because we really like that feature. Frank, any closing thoughts before we end today's webinar?
Ali, what I'm really excited about is that this release really allows the MSP to align with the requirements of the SMB. It gives them the ability to deliver their services in a much more efficient way, in a profitable way that's going to increase their service delivery model and allow them to be more competitive in the marketplace. It's going to allow them to drive recurring revenue, and the technology is really going to be the catalyst for them to be a difference maker in the marketplace.
And I think we see that. I think some of those features, the fact that I can provide that real-time support, and we've done the side-by-side comparison, it's about half the steps and half the time you can use direct support. So drastically lowering your costs so you can offer new services and new support channels. Brian, any closing thoughts before we finish today's webinar?
Yeah, just to say that this really is, we can't say it enough, a groundbreaking release, giving you the ability to do not only proactive monitoring, maintenance, and automation, but to provide help desk services in a scalable, quick, easy, and integrated way is fantastic for the MSPs. We're very proud of it. We're very excited of how this will enable our partners to grow, and we feel that you will be too.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Have a great day.